Welcome to Looks Good on Paper, the podcast that's flipping the script on traditional hiring. We're your hosts, I'm Woody.
And I'm Anita.
And in each episode, we dive into why CVs and the so-called perfect candidate can be misleading. We'll be speaking with industry experts to uncover how skills, potential, and real-world experience should be the focus when making hiring decisions. We're here to challenge the norm and rewrite the rules of hiring. So let's get started.
Welcome to Looks Good on Paper, the podcast where we challenge the conventional hiring process and really deep dive explore into why what looks good on a CV doesn't really tell the full story. I'm your host, Anita Chauhan, and I'm joined by my co-host, Woody.
Yeah, hey everyone. I'm excited to kick things off, and really this first episode is diving into why we've started this podcast and why we believe there is a real problem with traditional hiring practices and why something that was invented in the 1400s should probably be left there, and how we can challenge the status quo, really learning from industry experts to help you build a CV or resume-free process. And ultimately, show you things don't always look good on paper and you can find a better way to hire better people.
It's true. I think that's really crazy, right? Thinking that we've been using something since the 1400s, 1483, and we still think it's the best way to go about stuff, even in the new world, right? And I think that's kind of the basis of why this podcast came to be. We know that the hiring landscape's changing. We know that it's harder than ever to find the right fits for your team and the roles. And I think that just through both of our experiences and talking to tons of talent leaders, we're seeing this as an ongoing problem.
Yeah, and I think there's a common agreement amongst talent leaders that actually CVs and resumes aren't that great, and part of the real challenge is helping hiring managers understand that and understand that, you know, a tick box of having experience at a certain organization or having gone to a certain red brick university or college doesn't necessarily mean that this person is going to deliver what you need them to deliver, and time is actually a really terrible indicator of somebody's success. So we really want to uncover, you know, how can these organizations move away from that traditional model and identify the whole person behind that piece of paper?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting that we have some really good movement towards that too, because we have built our entire hiring systems mostly around the CV. So learning from other people about how they're trying to, like we said, flipping the script around that process, seeing that, list or a long line of experiences, your past jobs, all of those things don't actually make you the perfect fit. Like, what about things like your cultural fit, your ability to adapt? And I think we talked about this in the past, this idea of coachability, which is so huge, right? Especially as if you hope to grow in a role for a candidate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's really interesting about the problem with traditional hiring now is, I mean, if you look at CVs in and of themselves, there's kind of three core issues that they've got. One is that they're inaccurate because, according to Business Insider, 75% of people lie on their CVs, or as some people would say, embellish the truth, which I think is probably just misleading in and of itself. Just be honest. It's a lie. It's okay. Everybody does it. Secondly, they're, inaccurate and self-edited documents that then have heaps of bias from the eye of the observer. So I am projecting my thoughts onto your lived experience on a piece of paper. Rather than looking at your skills, I'm looking at your name, your location, the school you went to, all of these things that really don't tell me anything about you and your potential. And then third and finally, right now, we're seeing a huge increase in the number of AI-generated CVs, applications. Basically, if you've got a written-based application process, AI is completing it for you. And I think coming back to coachability that you mentioned, one of the key things in this new AI-enabled world isn't going to be, how well you can write a CV. It's going to be how well you can coach an AI model, how well you can utilize it to augment your day to day and become super successful. And that's going to need people that are highly adaptable. And how much can you tell that from a CV? In my opinion, you just can't. So I don't know what you think, Anita, but they're the kind of core reasons why I think we need to start challenging the traditional way of recruiting.
Agreed. I totally agree with all of what you said, and I think about those pitfalls in the process and the process that we built around how to hire. Then I think about the candidate experience, which is really wrought with a lot of issues, and I hear about this a lot online when I'm reading about stuff, even within my own communities of people who are trying to look for jobs right now, working in tech for so long, seeing sweeping layoffs, things like that. It's getting harder than ever to actually stand out. So from both ends, it's not a winning game right now, and I think that there's obviously ways that can be augmented. And I think that's a big flag too that I have to bring up here. It's not like we're looking to throw out the CV fully, in this conversation. I want to learn from people and from you about how people, how talent leaders can really thoughtfully start decentering the CV from the process. We know it's valuable. I know it's one of those things that you can't just throw it out the window, throw the baby out with the bathwater, but it's more like building the stuff around it. So how are people doing that? What's the best way to do it? And having those conversations that help us build a better future for both ends of the hiring process.
Yeah, and look, there's no, realistically, you're not going to listen to this podcast and all of your hiring managers automatically change their opinion on whether they need a CV or not. It's about finding those followers, those believers within your organization that want to see a better way of hiring. And, hopefully this podcast can give you some ideas around how you can find and implement those strategies that, people are going to follow. And I think for me, that's really, I guess what listeners can expect is us to sit down with industry leaders and really, pick into their brains of how they have gone CV free with certain roles and how much resistance they've met with hiring managers, what stories they've used to overcome that resistance. And ultimately, you should be able to leave with a better idea of, okay, what can I change today that's hopefully going to help me evolve for the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, really looking forward to those conversations. I feel like just going straight to the source and seeing what people actually get done. Because to your point, there's not one method that's going to work. Every company's different. Every need, every role that you're hiring for is going to be different. So let's take it to the people that are doing it and learn from them. And I'm so excited to bring that to the community at large. Very excited.
Yeah, me too. And look, thanks for joining on this first brief episode, everyone. We're super excited to speak to you. Anita, how often are we going to release these, do you think?
Twice a month, really short, quick, actionable conversations. We're looking at just asking a few questions, the same ones across the board to every expert that sits in the hot seat, and walking away with something that you as a listener might feel like you can maybe adapt and put into your existing processes.
Amazing. So if you're looking for really long form podcasts, this probably isn't for you. If you're looking for snippets of amazing wisdom from industry leaders across the globe, really, then definitely tune in next week.
Awesome. See you all then.
Bye.
So thanks for tuning in to Looks Good on Paper. We hope today's conversation helps you rethink what really matters when it comes to hiring. Don't forget to subscribe, share with your network, and stay tuned for more insightful discussions that are shaking up the entire hiring process. Catch us next time as we continue to challenge the status quo. Until then, remember, it's not what looks good on paper, it's what they can do.